Looks like it's my lucky day. Windows has just finished resetting. This is the 4th time I reset Windows, the 7th or 8th time that I've rebuilt this computer. I did some research before I built this bad boy, and I ended up going with the Intel i9-14900K after watching a whole bunch of review videos. What was the best for Premiere Pro? Nothing is really the best because it still crashes and wants to act up. They have done some updates, but I chose Intel. What ended up happening was my CPU was getting too much voltage for too long. Not only that, but the core temperatures were completely unstable. I ended up reconfiguring the fans. I added push-pull, I added push-push. Thanks to the Provoked Pawn, I watched his video, and I got the temps manageable, but I had to run this thing at stock, and then I started getting crashes, and it was pretty bad. So having to deal with Intel for the RMA was pretty painless, although it did cost my wallet some money. I had to do an advanced RMA. They sent me a new CPU. I reconfigured the fans back to push-pull. I installed it, and everything was working pretty well. I was pretty excited. I was thoroughly checking the SSD speeds, and I noticed that when my motherboard had 4 slots full, which were all below the graphics card, one of the speeds of the NVMe drives was severely limited. So I ended up moving around some drives. The only way to get them to run all at full speed was to take out 2 drives. This motherboard in itself is kind of a chicanery of all kinds of nonsense. I've got to say, Asus really did a bang-up job right from the start with this Dark Hero motherboard. The overclockable RAM that is, advertised is like some ridiculous number that you will not get unless you're using, number 1, 2 sticks of RAM, and number 2, you would have to use QVL listed RAM, which is probably obvious to a lot of you guys, but you're not getting your advertised memory speeds. It's a PCI 5.0 motherboard, but because of the lane shortage and Intel not giving the proper amount of lanes, which is ridiculous, but it's starting to change more now, going more towards the motherboard manufacturers. Long story short, the NVMe drives were not getting full speed. It's supposed to be a PCI 5.0 motherboard, but if you use a PCIe 5.0 SSD in the top slot, you lose half of your GPU lanes, which is like absolutely ridiculous. Asus needs to put that in the marketing of the motherboard, not just in the motherboard manual, because it's maybe well known now, but when I bought this, earlier in the year, there really wasn't much information. I bought DDR5 RAM, 4 sticks, could not run them at the overclocked rated speeds. I could not run my NVMe SSD Gen 5. I built the Ugreen NAS, which I absolutely love. I didn't build it, but I configured it. I set it up, and I loved using it. I noticed that it was so fast that I could edit right from the NAS to my computer, and just like that, I was thrilled. I started getting network equipment, and I started trying to get the fastest connection to the PC because Adobe Premiere yet again was crashing. What I ended up finding out was, this board will not detect my network card. It won't detect another network card. It will detect an older network card that is Wi-Fi only, but it can only run at 1x, which is odd, but so I just couldn't get this thing to work. It's supposed to have a PCIe 4x4 lane at the bottom of the motherboard. Needless to say, I'm exhausted. I have a sty in my eye. My job is overworking me. Super stressed out. I can't get my computer to work now. I sent the motherboard to Asus after Intel replaced my CPU, after I've had nothing but problems reconfiguring this all year. Clients are waiting for videos. My YouTube channel is not going in the direction that I wanted to. So I thought, what do I have to lose? Let me send this to Asus. As they said, there was a problem with the motherboard and they would fix it. Basically, what ended up happening was I sent the motherboard in with the instructions. I sent the motherboard in with clarification for the issues that I was having. I specifically said, don't worry about the NVMe drives because that's going to be really tough to replicate. I knew they wouldn't be able to replicate that. I just told them I can't run that PCIe card at 4.0, which is very important for me because I'm trying to connect my NAS, trying to aggregate the two 10 gigabit ports from the NAS so I can get a little bit more speed when trying to edit these 4K videos from the Canon cinema camera, and even DJI can be pretty tricky. You need a very, very powerful computer, and you probably still will have to use proxies, which is unfortunate. That being said, I tried to contact Asus after I paid $70 to ship the motherboard back. No word at all from them. I called, I emailed, and then I got an update that my board was shipped. And I was like, what? What's going on here? So I tried to contact them and they told me there was no repair needed. The board was functioning. And I was like, what do you mean it's functioning? Did you test the PCIe lane? And they were like, oh, well, it doesn't say anything about that. It just says that the board posted and functioned, and, you know, we do a diagnostics test or whatever, which is part of the problem here, that they're not doing the proper test. I can't say that they're not doing that. That's why I'm reinstalling Windows. I'm trying to check the drivers, check everything to see if I can get this to work before I really, you know, blast this video out in the public. What ended up happening was no communication. The motherboard was being shipped back to me. I got in touch with an assistant manager. I just wanted to figure out what they tested. They couldn't give me any information. They kept telling me, call back, do this, and I'm at work running around as a truck driver, trying to talk to Asus on the phone for like 4 days, never got in touch with anybody at all. I finally get an email back from this guy who says, don't worry, you can fill out this paper and we'll fix the motherboard. So I'm thinking, oh, that's great, they didn't ship the motherboard yet. So I fill out the paper, I call another 3 or 4 times. They keep telling me they can't talk to this department, that department can't talk to this department. Never heard back from the guy for a couple days until my tracking number updates and the motherboard's being shipped to me. So at that point I realized that the motherboard just sat there for like almost 2 weeks, and they only looked at it for like 4 hours one day. So no idea what went on there, but I got the motherboard back and I recorded it, and the motherboard was put back in the box that I put it in. There was no packing, so the motherboard was banging around. I had a bent fan pin. The motherboard was all scuffed up. The box was all, you know, damaged. Who cares? But needless to say, the motherboard was shipped in a really, really crappy way, which is really unfortunate because this motherboard is super expensive. I know they're getting more and more expensive, but it was like $600 or $700, the same price as the CPU, and I can't get this thing to work properly. Maybe that's user error. You know, I can chalk it up to, you know, maybe I'm an idiot, but I still have received absolutely horrible customer service from Asus. I even contacted their CEO. They don't care that they shipped my motherboard damaged. They wanted me to file a claim and blame FedEx, and I just completely lost all faith in this company. I sent them pictures. It's almost like they don't look at the stuff that you send them. They just do whatever they want, and then they blame you or they blame FedEx, and it's just, you know, sickening and rather disgusting for me. I asked the CEO's office why they did this, and the only thing they say is, send the motherboard back to us. This time we'll check it. And I'm like, yeah, well, I don't really want to do that because I'm terrified it's going to come back to me worse than when I sent it. And I'll be out of my editing PC for a couple weeks, a month, 2 months. Who knows with these people, man. And I just think it's really unfortunate. And I just wanted to make this video letting you know that I won't ever buy another Asus product. I don't care if they ship me a new motherboard at this point. If I absolutely have to buy an Asus product, I'm going to get a warranty from whatever store I buy it from, or I'm probably not going to buy it unless it's not that expensive. I don't trust the repair services here. I don't like the marketing they're using. I don't like the customer service. I don't like the way I'm treated. I don't like passing the blame on to FedEx because they couldn't package my motherboard properly. All else fails, they didn't test my motherboard properly either. And I gave them every option to correct their error, and they just want to blame the customer, blame the shipper, and completely disregard any problems that they're having. And I just can't put my faith in a company like that, guys. So unfortunately, I've got to get back. I've got to reinstall Windows, update these drivers, and hopefully the PCIe card will work. If not, I'm going to end up swapping the motherboard out and sending it back to Asus. I do usually like to cover more positive things on this channel, but unfortunately, this is just the way it is right now and what I'm going through. But I still am trying my best to embrace goodness and attract greatness. I will be getting my video business up and running more. I have a client for video, so this is like my 4th client for video. I'm getting the website up and running soon, and I really would appreciate it if you help support any of my channels or any of the work that I'm doing here. I'd greatly appreciate it, guys. I want everyone to embrace goodness and attract greatness. Probably not a good idea to put your trust in a company like Asus, and I know Gamers Nexus obviously already covered this, but just wanted to share my experience. And my name's Greg with PizzlesTechTime, uploading tech videos on YouTube for 10 years, I'd say, on and off. That is a long time, and I really need all the support I can get and all the help I can get, as you can see. So guys, until next time, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Links down below. They are affiliate links, but they don't cost you nothing. Make sure to stay away from Asus products unless you want to get that warranty. And thank you to the Asus CEO's office for really making me feel important. Peace.
Pillow talk, little walls, simple minds want it all. Take it off, 5 o'clock. What come the rocks? What come the rocks? Dirty socks, kitchen sink, bring it on. Drink a drink it off, take it off, take it off, take it off. Rhythm and blues, sipping on gin and juice. Drinking, 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 drinking.